Welcome friends, in this video we shall talk about order of operations in mathematics, that is the rules for VBODMAS or PEMDAS. That is, we shall learn which operation, that is let's say addition or multiplication or parenthesis etc., that we need to solve first or before the other operation. So before we go ahead friends, please subscribe to our channel and share and like all our videos. But what exactly is the need for the order of operation? Why do we need it? To understand this issue, let's see this example. Here we have 6 multiplied by 3 plus 50. So if we solve 6 multiplied by 3 plus 50 as 6 multiplied by 50 plus 3, that is 6 into 53, we get 318. But in the other way, if we multiply 6 and 3 first, we get 18 plus 50 is equal to 68. So we don't know which is the correct answer, 318 or 68. Which is the correct answer? So in order to know the accuracy, we follow some rules or guidelines, and that rules or guidelines is called as the order of operations. The order of operation is that we should first solve the vinculum bar, then the bracket, etc. like that. And in order to memorize that order of operation, we have developed an acronym called as VBODMAS. This VBODMAS is the acronym used throughout the world, but predominantly in Canada and the US we use the acronym PEMDAS more often. And we shall in this video see how or what is the distinction or difference between these two acronyms, if any, and we shall compare it later in this video. But first, let's understand the order of operations, that is the order in which the mathematical operators such as addition, subtraction, division should be solved in a given expression. So our rule is that we should follow the VBODMAS rule or acronym, in which the V comes first, so we solve V operator first, and then we solve the B operator first, then followed by O operator, D operator, M, and such as that. But what does this VBODMAS stand for? VBODMAS stands for V as vinculum bar. For example, you can see in this expression we have a bar on top of 2 and 1, so this is called as vinculum bar, and this should be solved as solved first of all. If in a given expression we have this bar, then we first resolve this bar, and in general you can see that bar is somewhat like a bracket only. Next comes in VBODMAS B, which is bracket, and there are different types of brackets. The first is parenthesis, then the curly bracket, you can see it is drawn here, then the square bracket. The order of solving these brackets is that we should solve first of all the parentheses, then the curly brackets, and then the bigger bracket or the square brackets. And then in VBODMAS comes O, which is called as order, and is also this O also stands for off. Order is nothing but the exponent or index. For example, we can have 4 raised to power half, which is nothing but square root of 4. Similarly, 9 raised to power half is square root of 9. So this is how it is that the exponent or index we should solve after the bracket. The O is also there for off. This off is equivalent to multiplication. For example, half of 6 is equal to 3. So if we have an off operator, we should solve this off operator immediately after brackets but before division and multiplication. Next is the D, which is there for division. It has symbols like this, or more often used symbol is this one. Then after D we have M, which is multiplication. The symbol for multiplication is kind of a cross or a dot. Now important thing to note is that D and M are both at the same level. So we can solve D before M, or we can solve M before D. That is, whether it is not that we always have to solve division before multiplication, we can solve multiplication before division also, because both D and M are at the same level. So if we encounter the operators of the same level, then the rule we have to follow is that we should be going from left to right. So that is the important thing that we need to remember, that if we encounter operators of the same level, then we go from left to right. So if multiplication comes first while going from left to right, we do multiplication before any division, but if division comes before multiplication, we will do division before before the other operator. Then comes the next section or level, which is A for addition, S for subtraction, they are represented by symbols like this. Again, both A and S are at the same level. That means that if we encounter addition or subtraction, we do not have to worry whether we do A first or we do S first. We have to go by the level. So we go from left to right, and if addition comes first, we do addition before subtraction, but if subtraction comes before addition, then we do that operation before the other one. So this is an important thing to note. So in VBODMAS, AS and DM, they are two different groups, but within the group all the operators are at the same level. Okay, so now let's try to solve a problem and we see how do we use VBODMAS rule in there. So we are given that expression, that is 7 multiplied by 3 plus curly bracket 7 plus 3 multiplied by parenthesis 6 minus 3 parenthesis close curly bracket close whole divided by 4 multiplied by 2. So we shall start solving this, and first of all we have vinculum bar. There is no vinculum bar in this given expression, so we go to the brackets. In the brackets we have to solve the parenthesis first. So we solve the parenthesis 6 minus 3, we get value equal to 3, and then we again go to the next level of bracket, which is the curly brackets here, if you see. So these are the curly brackets, and then we solve the expression within the curly brackets. So here we are solving it, if you see here. So this 3 has come here because we solved the parenthesis, but now we are solving the expression within the curly bracket. So we get 7 plus 9, which is equal to 16, and now you see we are left with, if you see at this level or this expression here, we have condensed or resolved partly the given expression. We are left with 7 multiplied by 3 plus 16 divided by 4 multiplied by 2, and we know that division and cross, that is the multiplication, at the same level. So we will now go from left to right. So we will solve this multiplication first, and then we shall solve any other expression. Again, this addition is there, but this addition is at the next level. So we have to solve the division first and the multiplication first. So by doing that, we got 7 multiplied by 3, 21, and here we were solving the division 16 divided by 4, which gave us this 4. So we are left with 21 plus 8, and now we solve the addition. So we get 21 plus 8, which will give us 29, and that is our answer here. Okay, so that's how we have to use the VBODMAS rule or acronym or a order of operation, you can say. So I would highly recommend that you try to solve this expression, because solve this expression by yourself and see where you are making mistake, if any, and this will help you a lot to really understand how to use operators at the same level. Like here we are solving division and multiplication. Similarly, it will give you an idea how to solve different types of brackets like parenthesis, square bracket, and the curly bracket. Okay, so now let's see what is PEMDAS rule. So as I was telling earlier, in North America, Canada, and US, PEMDAS is more frequently used acronym compared to VBODMAS, which is used in the other countries. So if you see here, the PEMDAS stands for P, that is you solve parenthesis first, followed by exponent, and then you do M, which is multiplication, then you do division, and then you do A for addition, and then you do S for subtraction. If you see PEMDAS and VBODMAS, they both are the acronyms used to help aid the memory or memorization, or to help us remember that which order we need to solve or resolve the mathematical operators. So they are both serving the same purpose. There is no difference between them. So whichever of the acronym suits you, helps you in memorizing, use it. You can use either PEMDAS, or you can use VBODMAS. There is no difference. You can use one of them. You do not have to memorize both of them. But the important thing to understand is that the M and D, multiplication and division, they are at the same level, and addition and subtraction, they are at the same level. So within the same level, if you encounter two different operators, you have to go from left to right. That is, left to right you have to go, instead of going with the order in which they appear in this acronym. So if you see in PEMDAS, the acronym multiplication comes before division. So it does not mean that you have to always solve multiplication before division. The important thing is that you have to solve both M and D, which come in the same group, in the order in which they appear while you are going from left to right. And this is all the more important for you to know that in VBODMAS, the division comes before multiplication, but in PEMDAS, multiplication comes before division. So if this is shown here, by these arrows that if you see. So it may appear to you that both these PEMDAS and VBODMAS acronyms are contradictory to each other, because one is saying multiply before the division, the other is saying divide before the multiplication. But both are correct. The important thing is that they are representing the group here. Division and multiplication is in the same group, so go from left to right instead of following any acronyms there. So that is the important thing, and that is the only difference that is you have in these two acronyms. And as I was telling earlier, do not worry what is there, memorize or whichever acronym suits you, use that. But remember, there are groups of operators within the both acronyms, and they have to be resolved from left to right rule. Okay, now let's try to solve one more problem, and we shall use our VBODMAS, which is, as you know, can be replaced by PEMDAS. We can go either ways, and we have to remember that we have to go from left to right in the level of M and D, or in A and S, that is addition and subtraction. And here in this expression you would see that we have a vinculum bar as well. So the very first thing we will do is that to solve this vinculum bar, and this bar is that 2 minus 1, and as I was mentioning in the earlier screen, that vinculum bar is to be treated like a bracket. So 2 minus 1 vinculum bar gives us this one here. Okay, then we solve for the inside parenthesis. So we have to solve for the parenthesis first. So we go 1 plus 1 gives us 2 here. Actually 2 here, this one, this 2 here. Then we solve the curly bracket expression. Once we solve this, then we go for the square bracket expression, and that's how we do it. Now if you see in this expression, we also have off, and as I was mentioning, off in VBODMAS is for O, which is basically like multiplying. So as I was giving an example, 1/2, let's say 1/2 of 10, which is equal to half multiplied by 10, which is equal to 5. Similarly, we can have 1/3 of, let's say, 30, which will be nothing but equal to 10. So that's how you solve O or off. O could be for exponent as well, so you have to remember that. So in this expression you will solve for the square bracket, and then you will solve for off. So 7 of 8 is 7 multiplied by 8, which will give you 56 here. And then you have this expression, 18 divided by 3 multiplied by 56. So you see here it is division and then multiplication. They both are of the same group, MD. So in this you have to go from left to right. So you do the division first. So 18 divided by 3 comes first, you get 6, and then you multiply by 56, and here is your answer of this expression, which is 336. So this is another good example. If you try and do it yourself, you will understand this order of operation quite well. Okay, in conclusion, I have repeated it that both PEMDAS and VBODMAS are aid to remember the order of operations. You can go either VBODMAS or you can go PEMDAS. They are both same, equivalent, no issue. You need to do only one of them. The only thing is that you have to remember there are different levels. M and D are at the same level, A and S are at the same level. Within the same level, you go from left to right, and that is all that you need to remember about these two acronyms.